Hello, this is Reindeer's Bees, and today I'm going to talk about how I'm going to be doing my splitting this year. In past years, I've pretty much only used mating nukes to, build up hives and make new queens. And I'm going to do it similarly this year, but with one major change, which is for the first time this year or ever, I'm going to move colonies. So I've never had to actually move beehives from one apiary to another. When I've started new apiaries, all I've done is, move a nuke box, like a transportable nuke box, and then install the bees. So that's going to be interesting. Never done that before. Comment down below if you have any tips for me on, moving beehives. I've seen some stuff on YouTube, but any help is much appreciated. So the biggest change in my split plan this year is really that I'm gonna have drone flooding yards. So drone flooding yards are yards that are between a half mile and 2 miles away from from the place that you're sending out queens on their mating flight. And the idea of a drone flooding yard is a higher percentage of your queens are gonna get mated with drones that you choose, and you'll get more queens back because the drones are at an adequate distance, so they don't have to fly as far, and they're just more drones for them to get mated with. So I'm gonna have about 40 mating nukes all in one spot. And then I'm gonna have 2 apiaries in opposite directions from that, between like probably a half and a 3/4 of a mile. I'm not sure their exact distances, but I haven't picked out roughly. And I don't think I'm gonna be able to find a third yard. So if the queens go in the third direction, so they won't get, they won't have that third direction of drones, but 2 is a lot better than 0. So I'll have 2 yards for drone flooding. So I'm only gonna move in the colonies that are nice and calm, so I'm not sending out mean drones to go mate with my queens. And I'm also, if there are any, showing any traits that I don't want, really don't want, then I'm just not gonna move them in there. I'm gonna have 10 hives in total, 5 in each yard for my drone flooding yards. And, I should have looked how many drones they make, but that's a lot of drones to mate with queens. I'm going to be sending out around 100 queens. So I think it'll be plenty enough drones. I plan on selling 40 queens this summer. And so since I want to sell so many queens, I don't have any option but to make a lot of mating nukes. So that's how I'm going to, use those mating nukes, sell off the queens, replace them with cells, and eventually sell off the last queens and then combine them into full-size hives. So that's really the main game plan, and I've done it the past couple of years. It's worked really well, and I will continue to do that this year. My goal is to graft on the 5th of May. I think that'd be on the earlier side, if we have an earlier spring, I'll be able to start on the 5th, weather depending. It might be pushed back as far as the 15th. I think even in later spring years, I should be able to get by the 15th, definitely by the 20th. And I plan on making 5 to 10 nucleus colonies as mating nukes for my first round, as well as 7 deep boxes divided into 3-way parts. I call them queen castles. So there's 21 compartments there, plus 5 to 10 nukes. So I'm starting off with 26 to 31 mating nukes for my first round of queens. And that should get me back 20 to 25 queens by the 1st of June, assuming I graft on the 5th. It might be pushed back, we'll see. So the earliest I have queens available is around the 1st of June, and the latest is about mid-June. So that's my current goal for grafting. And another thing I'm doing this year is I'm making some hives production colonies to make honey, and other hives production colonies for brood, like brood factories. It's not exactly like Michael Palmer's brood factories, because he does double nukes for those brood factories, but I'm gonna have, fingers crossed I don't lose any more hives. I have 15 right now. I would have 7 production hives, including my 2 cell builders. They'll also be producing honey. And then I will have 8 hives for just splitting. They're gonna make me as much brood as I can. I'm gonna throw drawn comb and foundation back into the hives, and they're just gonna keep making me brood that I'm gonna take out till, I stop making mating nukes and splits. So that's my plan for where I'm gonna get the brood. And so I should have 7 colonies that all I'm gonna do is take 1 frame of capped brood for my first mating nukes. That's the only time I'm gonna pull any brood from them. That's roughly the goal. I might take a little bit more than that, but pretty much no brood from them. And I'm really interested to see how much honey I'm gonna make if I don't take any brood out of hives, because I really haven't done that on any hive up to this point. I mean, this will be my 6th season of beekeeping. So I'm very interested, with low amounts of drawn comb. Each one will get like 1 super drawn comb and the rest of it will be foundation, to see, just how many supers they'll get drawn and how much honey. I want to make 300 pounds, but be very nice if I could do 600, because I have the supers for it, but that would be a terrific honey flow. So back to the first round, I will have 26 to 31 mating nukes. I will have 20 to 25 queens come back from their mating flights, which means I'll keep 10 to requeen my hives, because I want to requeen every hive every year. So I'll requeen my first 10 at the beginning of June. And then I will also sell 10 to 15. So if you're interested in queens, my email is in my channel description. I also will link it below. I'll be selling them. I'll for sure have them available by mid-June, around the 14th or 15th, but hopefully, if we get an earlier spring, they'll be available around the 1st of June. So if you're interested in those, it'll be $45 for an unmarked queen, $50 for a marked queen. So then how mating nukes work is, once you pull the queen out and put her in a queen cage, you just drop another queen cell right back into the hive. And then the queen will hatch, go out, go on a mating flight, and then come back again and start laying eggs. Once she has capped brood, I pull her out again. So that's kind of the mating nuke cycle. That's what a mating nuke does. It makes queens. And so I'll make up 10 to 15 more mating nukes around the 1st of June, when I, do have my second round of queen cells finished. And at that point, I will have, 41 mating nukes. And that should fill all the nuke boxes I have. And when I go back to pull queens around the 21st of June, I should get 32 queens back. And that, I'm saying that 80% of the queens will get back from their mating flights. I think I did 80%. Hopefully, because of my 2 drone flooding yards, I'll get closer to 85 or 90%. But Bob Binney said with 3 yards around his queen mating yard, he was getting like 95%, which is very good. So I'm hoping maybe I'll get, 85%. That'd be pretty good. And I think some years are also just better than others. Depends on the weather. But I will get 32 queens back from their mating flights. Then I'll have 27 queens to sell in mid-July. I'll have 27 queens to sell at the end of June. I'll use 5 ones to requeen the last hives that haven't been requeened this year yet. So I'll have all 15 of my hives requeened for, so the queens will hit their peak next spring or in later fall. Then I will sell 27, I'll also sell 27 queens. So that's a lot of queens. I've never sold that many before, but if anyone's interested, I'd love to sell some queens to you. So I'll take you through every step of the process, and you can see the time and effort and what I think will be a quality product once I sell it. Then in mid-July, I should have another 32 queens back from their mating flights. And that will be my last round of grafting, because I only really want to make queen cells and graft during the honey flow, because after the honey flow, it just gets much harder and it's not really that worth it. So I will keep 11 of them for my own hives, as well as sell the last 21. So I do have a wholesale supplier to sell queens to. I'm not sure how many he'll take, but hit me up for some queens. So once I sell off the last round of queens in mid-July, my plan is to I want to have 5 6-frame nukes in licensed nuke boxes, insulated licensed nuke boxes. And those ones I want to overwinter. And then I'll keep an extra 3 nuke boxes, like transportable nuke boxes, and I'll use those as like boost, because even though I requeened all my hives, some of them are bound not to work out, because you just, no matter how well you make the queens, some of them aren't going to be great. And some hives just might run into some issues. And so that way I have those 5 nukes that I want to overwinter, and then another 3 nukes that I want to plug into hives that need it eventually throughout the summer. And you never can have too much brood. So if I get to mid-September or late September and I still don't have a home for all the, I don't have any hives that need any help from the nukes, queen failing or whatever, I can just pinch one of the queens, depending on which one I think's better, and combine it with a hive. And then that hive's just going to be massive for winter. So win-win either way. And that's my plan. And then the other 35 mating nukes will be combined into roughly about 10 hives. And that will put my numbers up to around 25. And that's my goal, 25 hives plus 5 nukes going into winter. So I'll be done grafting around the 15th of July. And if I do everything right, these colonies should make it through the long winter. Not all of them are. I would guess if I had a good winter, I'd be losing probably like 10 to 15%. Might be closer to 80, or sorry, might be closer to 20% loss. But somewhere between, best case scenario being about 5% and lower, not worst case scenario, but lower than I'd expect would be about 20% loss. This year I had 17% loss so far, at least. Hopefully I won't lose any more, but who knows, we'll see. Anyways, the point being is next spring, I'm gonna have hopefully like 22 hives plus 3 nukes, which is extremely exciting for me because that's a lot of bees to play with. That's pretty exciting. So I can't wait for that. The split pans, it's very ambitious for me, but as Seth Hill says, you got to shoot for the stars, and if you land on the moon, then that's okay. So hopefully I can get this all done and make it all work. It's definitely not going to be perfect. If everything goes perfectly, I'll sell about 60 queens, but my goal is 40 for a reason, because I don't expect it to go perfectly, because beekeeping never does. No matter how much you plan about it or fantasize about it, it's never perfect. But nonetheless, I couldn't be more excited for the season. It is March 9th today, so there's still some good amount of time left. I should be putting on pollen patties in about 3 weeks, but there's good amount of time before the season. I'll be doing a lot of splitting this year, a lot of making a lot of mating nukes. If you're interested in that content, go down and subscribe, hit that bell to be notified when I upload. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Reindeers Bees. Comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.